Were they playing softball? Was it? No?
Oh, can I do that?
Yeah, you want to do it?
Flying spaghetti monster. No, that's all good. Do you need a printed copy? Oh, okay, well then that's good. Wait, I forgot one more document.
You ready? No?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'll just be
No,
ready.
you need to go get some.
It's just like a motion tracking sheet.
Yep. Oh, wait. You're gonna call me on it every time I screw up the Robert's rules, please? Thank you. No, I want you to, because I'm like, doesn't matter how often you do it. If you don't do it like every month, you just like. We're waiting for 12.
With that restart,
You have a free pen in the mail today. You know, we always like try to get you the best. I think it's because it's the company that, well, I'm sure they all get put in the database, but I just ordered like all the Shannon, like Tri-Valley, just copies for all the letters, the varsity letters or whatever, so I'm sure I get put in some now database that will send me promotional items or.
Oh, lucky you.
It's a nice pen, I didn't mind. Ready?
Yep.
Okay, it's 6:05. I'll call the meeting to order. Tobias, we take roll call, please.
Arsted.
Here.
Richardson.
Here.
Byer. Shooty. Quorum present.
Stand for pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'll do a short invocation. Thank you for bringing us together today in the spirit of generosity. May we honor one another by keeping an open mind. May we voice our truth and in listening with an open heart. May we discern your will to unite in fruitful outcome. We ask for your wisdom and grace to use our talents for the betterment of others. With gratitude, we offer this prayer in your name. Amen. I'm not good enough to just do it off the fly, so I gotta do it online. Okay, can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
And I need to make, oh, what?
Oh, nothing.
Is that what you're gonna tell me to do?
If you need to lift anything, make
Yeah.
sure you include it in the motion.
Yep, so I need to, no, I forgot to say that, I need to lift, 11B, summer sewer rates, and we'll talk about that, I'll talk about that in my finance report a little bit more, about how we're gonna do that going forward, but for now, I'm just gonna lift it off the agenda. So I need a motion for
So moved.
amended agenda, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Second.
All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Can I get a motion for the approval of the meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Financials. Do they have any questions or discussions? If not, need a motion of approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Claims. I thought I had one, now I don't remember what it was. Oh, I was just gonna ask you, Tobias, that DocuSign, is that a one-time or that's for the year?
Yeah,
It's a
then
yearly,
you'll
okay.
be-
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, excuse me, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Consent calendar. We have the abatement, parcel 66448. Now, just to clarify, and that Tobias did add some information on there, because I know there's some question about that last time. This is it's in there, the abatement number. And then the audit engagement letter, which just basically means that we're going to be audited, like we do every single year. And then the annexation agreement, which should all be in your packet.
What is the property annexation?
So if you go to the resolution, it has an exhibit there. Remember the property was annexed last year out there on 258?
258.
It's the next door neighbor to the east.
Oh,
They approached the city, I want to say last year.
Yeah, so the consent calendar is accepting the agreement, basically, and then later we'll actually do a resolution approving the annexation. And the agreement, just a reminder, was, well, you can read through the agreement, but one of the key things is making sure it's understood that although you're being annexed in the city of Crooks, you need to acknowledge that the services, there's not an expectation that the city would
need
provide
water out there.
you, yep, at this time.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mike, did you have? What page are you looking at?
Number 10, the municipal
In the agreement?
services.
Okay,
City agrees to make available to the premise all of the usual municipal services in accordance with the ordinances and policies of the city, which include, not limited to, blah, blah, blah. May not be immediately available upon successful annexation, but city agrees to make all usual municipal services available at the premises when it is feasible to do so.
I mean, I guess in my opinion, feasible to do so is mean when there's natural development there. One house here and there is not feasible from the city's perspective financially to do that.
I don't like the wording, but
How many do we have of these signed? Just the one?
We have two signed of these, because,
This is our third,
no, this is our
this is
second.
our second.
Sure.
the neighbor.
And the document was drafted by the city attorney, so. It just,
Well, I guess, I see what you're saying, but it does say the city agrees, so it puts it on the city to determine when it's feasible, not the homeowner, so, yeah.
But it doesn't say the city's gonna pay for it,
No,
It says make available.
make available,
but they don't
Yeah.
say they're paying for it.
correct. And they also say they're not going to, it basically says the city determines when it's feasible to do that.
Because they already told someone else over
Yep.
there on that land the other side of the road, that if you want it, you gotta put it here.
so with annexations, the reason why I signed this agreement is if you don't have an agreement in place, technically, the property owner could say, well, I'd like you to make them available.
Tomorrow.
And then you're on the hook for
Yep.
potentially having to service the property. So.
You
Yeah.
made a motion, right? And
Yep.
it's already been
Eric
seconded.
seconded.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Open comments. Hearing none. We have no public hearing tonight, so we'll go forward with reports. Water tower bid.
Yeah, so almost 2 weeks ago now, we opened bids. We're at Community Center, we got 4 bids. I believe the bid summary was part of the packet there. McGuire Iron was low bid, local company, football, as you know. That was to be expected. The other bids were out-of-state contractors. That's just the nature of water tower work. There's only so many that do it. Our kind of cost goal going into the project was 1.8 million, but ultimately we were going to be happy with anything under 2, so the low bid of 1,895 there is in line with what was expected, and so that's a competitive bid. The additional bid item that you see there was more or less a material upgrade and the riser pipe from the base up to the actual critical tank itself, from standard carbon steel to stainless steel. So that would be an additional $50,000. We did that as an additional bid, so it could be either awarded with the base bid or not awarded. Couple of things come into play there. Our recommendation tonight would be to award the base bid, but not the additional bid item. Reason being is that this funding package is going to fund the distribution improvements as well. That'll, are required to hook the tower up to the distribution system, upsize a few segments in between the new tower and the old tower. That $50,000 is going to prove to be pretty valuable for those improvements based on kind of what we're estimating. There's about $750,000 to $800,000 left in our construction budget after this 1.9 million, and we have about $850,000 worth of work that we'd like to get done. So I mean, with competitive bids, we could be in budget, but it's also the other way. So that $50,000 would be valuable there. Additionally, there's been some quality concerns with stainless steel on a couple of recent projects that this particular contractor has worked on. One being the County new tower over by Humboldt, and a tower that DGR is administering in Sheldon, Iowa. More or less came down to some bad welds on the stainless. It's just a different welding process that resulted in some leaking that's needing to be rectified. So I think all into consideration, our recommendation would be to award the base bid, but not the ad alternate, and just continue to as far as timeline goes, we went through, get contracts in place. The contractor would intend to do some site work and the foundation in 2024 this year. They would likely use the winter to do a lot of the steel fabrication in their shop, and then erection would take place late winter or early spring, with kind of getting painted next summer. The distribution portion of the project, now that we know what budget remains, we'll refine that scope, refine that project, get that out to bid in the next couple of months, and then that'll have a similar timeline. A little bit of work probably this fall with wrapping up next. Any questions there?
So is the stainless the inside of the water tower, or is that the outside?
That'd be the inside, so there's, from the base elbow, there's a.
So I mean, 50 feet up, or would it be 50 feet up of stainless, or
It'd be the entire 127
feet all the way up?
Yep, it's the pipe that the water fills and empties the
Tower.
So, stainless steel isn't uncommon, but carbon steel is definitely what we put in the majority of water towers. I mean, it's a suitable, very commonly used material there.
50,000 more to go from carbon to stainless, yeah.
Well, on that.
For what stainless costs right now, that's pretty cheap, actually.
Overall, by a pretty good margin, but they were actually the highest bid of the four for that additional bid item. The lowest was 15,000. So, somebody, the other contractor valued the stainless at 15,000 more, McGuire's at 50,000 more. So, had it been 15, this, very well could have been a different recommendation, but, the value at 50, just in considering what's left in the distribution side, that's kind of how we got to our recommendation.
But you take the welds out of it, is the stainless steel better than the carbon steel for a water tower?
For longevity, yes. It's, the carbon riser, useful life, 30, 40 years. The idea with stainless is you don't have to. It's going to last as long as the water tower will. It's just more simple to corrode.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept the McGuire iron base bid.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Jacob, rep again, shared use path,
Yeah,
phase
but-
3.
No action needed here. I just want to provide an update. The plans have been wrapped up on that for a little bit now, but the state was waiting on some environmental clearances. Seems more ridiculous because it's a shared use path right away, but that's how it works. Anyway, those have since been approved and come through, so all is in order for a bid letting. They set the date for May 15th. So a little hopeful because everything's in hand and they might move that up a week or two. But all things considered, that would be kind of the latest date they would bid it. And that has a completion date in the DOT set of November 15th. Kind of made a push to try to get a sooner completion date, but with the environmental delays and the later bid letting, that's kind of how it turned out there. So still to be constructed this year, just likely to be a similar construction timeframe as last year's project where I'd be looking at a September, October construction, unfortunately, instead of June, July. Just FYI. more than anything else.
And can you just remind, so that's going from 7th to Diane,
Correct.
and then is there any offshoots of that, or is just the street?
And then it includes 10th Street here.
And it does include 10th Street, okay.
From West Ave to the corner where the school ends.
Right behind here, yep, okay. Okay. Anything else, Jacob? No.
That's what I got.
Utilities. Do you have anything that you're aware of?
No, no, nothing major.
I guess now it makes more sense to talk about the summer sewer. So, after lots of discussion that Tobias had kind of last minute today, that was my fault, with Patrick, we decided instead of doing an ordinance, we're going to do a resolution. Since basically what you're doing is setting a rate structure that's a little bit different, and it makes more sense to do that with a resolution. So, we're more than likely going to need a special meeting. We are going to need a special meeting for that and probably one other ordinance. So, we're just going to have a special meeting. Can we decide tonight? Can we call that tonight and already pick a day and time and everything?
I mean, yeah, you can.
P&Z has a meeting April 29th here at the community center at 7. So if possible, I would like to do that the 29th at 6, which is a Monday, correct? 2 weeks from today.
Probably want to do it with P&Z because they have a hearing, unless that gets.
Oh, P&Z has a hearing?
Yeah, because it's an amendment to the subdivision
That we would
regulations.
have to, yeah, anyway?
But you're gonna have to hold a hearing as.
Oh,
city
after them,
council.
so we could do that at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay, so 7, so we would join P&Z's meeting then.
Or they can move theirs up to whichever time. Reach out to them.
I don't want to force them to move their normal
They work
meeting.
for me.
Yeah, so 7
fine.
o'clock on the 29th.
Okay.
We would join P&Z and then have our, just 1 or 2 items on our agenda as well. Economic development. Mike?
I don't have anything to report. The SMGA annual meeting was a couple weeks ago, and I was not able to attend. Butch went in my stead, and so I don't have anything there.
Tobias, you want to report on your meeting?
What meeting?
STML. Consider economic development, probably not as much. Tobias and I went to the South Municipal League district meeting. Basically talked about just just all the things that were happening legislators that affect city government. And to be honest, it was a very quiet legislative session for anything that affects city government. I don't think anything was really affecting us at all, to be honest.
No,
No, I can't think of anything.
nothing
So
major.
nothing major. Streets. So decorations and lights, West Ave Trails Phase 2. So I think we briefly talked about this at a meeting. Was this? Did you
Yeah,
want this on here?
I just want to figure out where we're getting the money, because it needs to be lit up on the north side of town. And if we want to buy the lights for the phase 3 too, but that needs to get done with that being asphalt to the sidewalk. I'm up there more than anyone. I've seen the people drive off the road to it. It's a dangerous, it needs to be done.
Did we get the final bids from
I
Chad?
think it was 30 grand to 33,000.
It was like
Nice.
36 or so
Okay.
from Excel for the poles and the installation.
I don't remember seeing a quote from Excel at all.
So he reached out to Excel, and that's when he talked to me about it last time. It was Excel was 30 some, and they were still cheaper than buying them outright from
Oh.
other providers.
I'm sure.
Um,
I think we need to allocate funds or figure out where the funds are coming from for that.
that's gonna be the question, the funding question.
I was trying to find it, see if I could find it, but
Here it is.
lights with outlets would be about 4,000 to 5,000.
A pole, right?
What? Per pole.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then they have what? Couple. How many poles did they have?
Builders Electric's proposal was 124,000.
Yeah, it's,
Did we have a map at one point, how many poles we would want?
Yes, we did.
Is it whatever, like 200 feet?
I don't recall off the top of my head how many it was, but we had spaced them out kind of on property lines through that first segment.
Yeah.
Obviously, yes, at one point, that was pulled together, so that, they were, Excel had something to pull from what it was.
And I'm looking at the Excel quote, and all it was 4,000 to 5,000
Per pole.
per pole. Without any idea how many poles that was.
I can't remember those poles quoted with the outlet and the arms for the banners for
You
no.
might as well get them all.
Oh, here we go.
All
Let
of
me
those
see.
banners are so expensive. So,
People like them,
yeah,
even though they rip in half after the street.
like 800
Okay,
bucks
so
to replace it.
Jake
Be
Morris from
13.
BGR said in an
13
email.
lights.
Yeah, he
I
said,
just found the drawing. It's 13 lights.
yeah, because he said about 150 feet spacing while aligning with property lines where able and avoiding locations of potential conflicts. And then obviously we're gonna have to do some coordinating with the railroad if we have any that end up being in there right away. But you had said we'd end up plus or minus 13 lights for the entire stretch.
So yes, 13 lights with outlets would be around 36K from Excel.
So, before.
I mean, maybe we could ask him what the phase, if we paid for both phases in advance, maybe you get a little better deal. I don't know.
I don't know.
But that needs to happen this year.
It'll be more than that, wouldn't it? Because even at 4,000 a pop, that was the original quote, because he was saying 36,000 poles with outlets, that includes everything, but then he came back later and said that didn't he come back later and say that it was wrong, he was wrong?
Was 36 just the labor plus the poles? If Builders Electric was 100 and some thousand?
Hold on.
So, should we get an updated quote then?
Poles without the outlets would be something.
We're gonna have to.
Yeah, because I mean, that's,
Because he said for the 13 lights with outlets would be around 36,000 for us to order, install, and included hiring an electrical contractor, do all the after meter work. And that was on November 17th. But then later, I feel like he came back and said that it was wrong, and it'd be more like, hold on.
Yeah, 4 days later, this is from Chad, I talked to Derek from Excel on the project for a little more info, and he informed me that the lights without outlets would be around 4,000 to 5,000 total versus the 2,000 he quoted in his email.
So 56, 65,
Yeah.
5K a pop for
Well, I
13.
think, I guess in my mind, no matter what, if we're going forward with this, we can't just do it based off of an
No, we need a,
email
we
with
need a,
some estimated prices. Like, let's get a formal
we
quote.
need a
and see
real
what we're talking
quote
about.
from
And
Excel.
if we get that in time for, because that'd be another thing we could have for special
Yeah.
meeting, so we can actually have like a
And
number.
I mean, unfortunately, the problem that we've had with Excel all along is even they'll have us pay for it immediately,
It's
and then
their
they'll do it
schedule.
at their leisure. I mean, it's maddening.
So,
But yeah, I mean, if we can if maybe Tobias, if you can have Chad get an updated quote or
Like an
a
actual
real
quote.
quote.
yeah, not just,
So you want like an executable quote?
yeah,
Yeah,
actually
like-
give a quote that we can agree to, yes.
Funding source is gonna be very difficult. I'll give you the heads up there.
Yeah.
It's gonna take money moving, because, and I'll say this, once again, I know this was on the to-do list, but like adding these major projects is,
Just add the cost in with the cost of the shop.
For the sake of planning, we can lay out phase 3 too quick, just so you know that may be 8, 9, 10 lights ahead.
and you want the decorative poles with decorative poles.
We need the same stuff that we've already got.
Mhm.
Anything else for streets?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. P and Z, they didn't have a meeting. Like I said, they're gonna meet on the 29th. Government buildings, IT infrastructure, Alan.
That lease proposal for A and B Business Solutions, we don't need to execute or do anything on that yet. We still have another year left on the lease, so I don't know why they're pushing for it now, and we're not even sure we're gonna need that much printing in the future, so.
When's your current lease end?
2026.
2026,
So why are they,
I don't know.
I would assume to secure business going forward with
Okay.
the same machine, so we'll see.
And they're raising the price, yet they're not providing anything new.
okay,
Yeah,
anything else?
No. That's it.
Parks, and now I don't know which is here, and I don't have any information on this. Do you?
all I know is the city's gonna contribute,
Think
or
it-
will we build $1,700 to contribute towards the busing service for the pool?
So this is the second year of the, and Baltic's joining this year, so there'll be a bus going from Crooks and Baltic to Colton 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Kids just have to register. It will stop here and at the library, take them to the pool for the day, bring them back for the day. That's basically the only information I have about it. I don't know if anybody's,
Did we put any money towards that last year? I didn't think so. And so why are we this time?
because Colton and Baltic did.
I don't
I don't know. I don't
once
have any
again.
background information on this. This was,
Yeah.
but I think it's because they didn't get the sponsorships that they were hoping to get.
But I thought they broke even last year, that's why they didn't
But they had
build.
a lot of sponsors. I don't think they're getting them this year. I don't think they got them this year.
I
I don't have any, I don't know. It's not, I mean, the students still have to pay, not to take the bus, but they do have to pay obviously for membership to go to the pool. Yeah, but. Finance, so I'm still working on the annual report documents. He's got a couple snags with some software issues, but they're working that out. Anticipated outflows hasn't changed from last month, so, West Ave Trails, Phase 2 final payment, paving of East Fourth Street, which, is that being bid out, or is that kind of,
That's been signed, so that's gonna be
Okay.
50, oh man. I wanna say 50 plus thousand, something
and
like
that was partially using savings from the
Street maintenance,
slurry
that-
seal and the.
Yeah.
street thing, okay. Jacob just told us about West Ave Phase 3, so we'll see what happens there when the bids get led. City shop obviously is still in the works. We haven't received the sales tax reports yet from the state. we'll correct, but we'll look.
No, we have.
Oh, we did, okay.
But
Oh,
no,
you were gonna
I-
review those.
Yeah, I pulled those from the
Yep,
state's
okay.
website. They provided.
Liquor, lodging, and dining, that's an exciting one. Expenditures, we haven't had any yet this year, but that's one of the major fund sources for the new welcome sign. Special assessment fund, which will be used for our East Fourth Street project. Slurry seal has already been encumbered. Revenues are at expected levels. Water fund, the major outflow is same, the AMI upgrade, the water storage project, and a portion of the city shop. Tobias has asked, we talked about this earlier, but when we have surcharges for both the water and sewer fund, right now it's kind of all lumped together in our, for lack of a better word, our cash balance, right? And so the request is either, and I would leave that up to you, but it would be either opening a separate checking account or where basically, instead of us seeing these cash balances where there's a significant portion of it that is basically set aside as a surcharge and tends to overinflate the cash balance we're seeing, that he could move those out. He only accesses those, 3 times a year to make or quarter repayments, or 4 times a year. And then that way it doesn't look like we're seeing a cash balance that includes X amount that is set aside that we can't touch anyway. So I don't know if you want to form a motion or that, or we're just saying that that's fine to do that, but it was for
Yeah.
both the surcharge.
Well, as long as everyone knows what's going on, that's
Yeah.
really the key part.
Why we would all of a sudden see a big dip in our position is because we would be, that doesn't mean that he wouldn't also include those in our financials, but it makes it look like, we're not looking at a cash balance that includes money
Makes
that
it
we
real,
can't touch.
makes it real.
Makes it very transparent,
Right. And
basically.
when you look at your cash reports, like sewer is particularly misleading with $568,000. I mean, that's.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we're saying A-okay.
Nice.
Billing hasn't been run for sewer, so we don't have any updated revenue numbers. East Side Lift Station project is completed. That was the last major project for now from the sewer. Again, portion of the city shop will come from the sewer, just like the water. Revenues are at expected levels. Summer sewer rate, we'll talk about that, could have a slight adverse impact. And then, again, same thing, the cash management for surcharge, but we just agreed that that was okay. Natural gas, again, the major contribution for that would also be the city shop. So that's it. Code enforcement, animal control.
Okay.
Other business, we always have volunteer acknowledgement on here, and the reason we have that is because if we acknowledge volunteers in our minutes, then it covers them for any sort of under the city's liability.
Oh, the workman's comp.
And workman's comp.
It
Yeah,
covers
sorry.
all the workman's, yeah.
I don't know, I'm not aware of any volunteers. Are you aware of any that needed to be?
Connie Haugen.
Okay.
Yes. But I thought we acknowledged Ms. Haugen in a previous meeting. But no.
Well, she's double recognized.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good stuff.
Okay, ordinance, resolutions, policies, and motions. Okay, ordinance, second reading ordinance 338, an ordinance of the City of Crooks amending ordinance 174, section 1, section 13, section 14, and section 15, lovingly called the chicken ordinance. So, Mike, last meeting had 3, if you look in our packet on here, 3 proposed amendments. And so if I understand this right, Tobias, we can, you gotta remind me how we gotta do it.
Yeah, I would read the title of the ordinance, then I would say, have a motion, but either do a separate motion read the title, then someone makes a motion with the amendment that they want to introduce, and then you can vote on that amendment, or you just, so read the title and then
Well, I just did read the title, didn't
You read the title.
an ordinance of the city of Sutton, okay.
I?
Cool.
So, but we
So
gotta
I'd like to approve it with the inclusion of the amendment.
Okay.
So I want to bring up one thing. You had asked to drop it from 150, and I am fine with the 150, but I think that what we would have to understand is if we do that, the reason it was 100 is there was an expectation that code enforcement would be required to do a site visit which I don't know that that's necessary, and I don't agree that that's necessary. That was kind of the reason, because they were doing a calculation, they wanted to make sure they weren't losing money on the permit. And so that's the reason it was that high. If we're not gonna require that there has to be some sort of on-site, review, site inspection or whatever, that we're providing them a very detailed ordinance saying exactly what you can and cannot do. And unless somebody calls in a complaint, you know what I mean? Like we will with any other ordinance that somebody is claiming to be on a violation, we would inspect that. So if we're fine with that and doing it that way, that's fine. It doesn't say in the current ordinance anywhere that there would be no, it doesn't say that.
Okay.
But that was some of the reasoning behind the $100, even though it doesn't spell that out. But if we're fine with that, then I'm fine with dropping it to the 50 as well. So that's, just wanted to throw that out there.
Just make it,
And then, the other amendment proposed was the getting rid of the 75% of property owners. Again, the argument for that is that can be taken advantage of by a property owner neighbor that just wants to be difficult, I guess, for lack of a better word. And the only thing I guess my opinion is I thought about dropping that to 50 just because my thing was if you only had 2 neighbors that were even within that 30 feet, how do you sit there and say 75%? It's either 0 or it's 50, right? Because not everybody's going to have more than 2 neighbors that are within 30 feet of them. So we want to discuss that. Regardless, what we would do tonight is pass it with an amendment, but because it has the amendment on it, making a major change, we do a reading tonight, correct? And then we would do a final reading,
Another reading.
no
and
more
then-
changes
And
on the
then,
29th, and that's it. It's done.
correct, so would be approve the ordinance with the amendment tonight, but not for final approval, do the additional reading. And then, I probably have to,
then we can just add that to the next.
Yeah, and then it's done.
It can be
We're
on the
finally
special
like-
meeting.
But we don't want to do this again, because we already had an amendment once, and so whatever we decide tonight has to be, that's it, that's the final. So, I don't know, is there any other?
So the code violations of the city ordinances, so if people have more than 2, we pull the chicken license, or no matter how many violations they have, they can still have chickens?
It'd be going
The-
as soon as they get that permit, so if you got, right, you get the permit.
so the amendment would remove that. What it
Yes.
meant is the
To take
moment,
it out completely.
yeah,
No, if you can't live with the city in 2 ordinance, you should be punished a little bit.
I don't want there to be the veil of retribution. Oh, you
By
want to
the
have
city?
chickens, so now we're going to find ordinance violations, so you have 2,
No,
now
but
you
if
can't
they
have them.
have 2 ordinance, is this really that hard to be along the city? I've been here my whole life. I've only been at home, for the last decade or so. And I have plenty of stuff too, but I guess I've never been in violation. I don't feel it's that hard to be not in violation with the city.
But I think his argument is you may not be the second you get it. He's saying.
It is not that hard. However, if someone wanted to, I bet they could come over to your place right now and say, oh, here's 2 violations.
You didn't scoop
It-
your
I mean-
sidewalk in 24 hours, there's a violation, there's one. He's
Yeah.
saying if this is in there written that way, there could be
So what up it? How many violations is acceptable to you?
he's saying.
Unlimited?
To me, your other violations have nothing to do with your ability to keep and care for chickens.
No, you're right. If you want chickens.
I mean, that's why I'm
keep
saying I
your-
can't get a conditional use to have an oversized accessory building because my trees in the front are too long and hang over the street and are closer than 12 feet to the street. What does that have to do with my ability to have an accessory building? That's my argument. The one doesn't have anything to do with the
Do we
other.
have that wording in any other permit requirement? Like if you're getting
We
permit
do
for
not.
anything else, we don't have that wording, correct?
no. Not the top of my head.
It costs $1 for a dog and you wanna take them for.
You don't have to get a permit for a dog.
$100 for a chicken, yeah, you do.
Gotta get a
No,
license.
it's a
Get a
license. This is a permit.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say chick-
Oh,
The difference
we
is
already
there's
have
an
a hard time-
There's a-
expectation of a building and a structure and that's,
So is the doghouse.
but they're not required to build a doghouse for your dog. We're requiring you to build a chicken coop for your chicken. And it has to follow a lot of,
In the garage.
what?
Let's keep them in the
Unless you
garage.
keep them in the garage. But that was why I wanted to drop it down at least I mean, it's still work to do a permit. You don't need if you have a dog, you don't need to get a permit.
There's a motion without a second.
Did you make the motion?
I did.
I'll second it,
So are you seconding as amended?
as amended with the amendment.
So,
And what about
can I-
the part in there about residential only?
do you get
That's still in there, it still says residential only, but it does have
No.
a,
conditional use
it does have the
provision?
conditional use, like section, or, oh,
So if we pass
That
this,
didn't
you guys
change.
would need to get a conditional use
Yeah.
to have them at your place.
Yes,
Except with reduced steps,
So we
no,
have to just go in and do that, or we're gonna have to go in front of you guys and get the condition?
yeah,
no,
no hearing,
Yeah, it's gonna be a
yeah, it's
hearing.
gonna be a hearing, it's, so. I mean,